Did Jack the Ripper make the Goulston Street Grafitto? Another recent exchange with MP Priestley, author of Jack the Ripper, One Autumn in Whitechapel, I asked whether he believed the infamous Goulston Street Grafitto was written by the Victorian serial killer. Benefit of those unfamiliar with the graffito, it was a chalk message discovered in the early hours of the 30th of September 1888, after the murders of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. The message, recorded in the notebook of Detective Constable Daniel House of the City of London Police, read, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing." It was ordered to be washed off a wall by Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Charles Warren, presumably to avoid a race riot in the East End, which was heavily populated by immigrant Jews at the time. Close to the graffito, a dirty, blood-stained piece of cloth was discovered and found to have been part of an apron worn by Jack the Ripper victim Catherine Eddowes. Asked about the provenance of the graffito, the author said, "I think it makes little difference to the case or the hunt for the killer, but I think that he might have written it. If he did it, being aware of the headlines, he might have done it in an attempt to increase his notoriety, or to drag out his murder fantasy for as long as possible, and it would suggest that the rumours of the 15 more and I will give myself up graffiti reported at the Hanbury Street scene might well have been true." On the day of Mary Kelly's funeral, around 7 weeks later, Albert Backert also claimed that the killer had written threatening chalk graffiti on the side of his house in Newnham Street. If he did indeed write the Goulston Street graffiti, it might also appear to give a clue as to where he lives, as to leave it on the right-hand side of the doorway, he must surely have approached the spot from Wentworth Street to the north. Had he approached from the south, he would have had to arrive at the doorway, turn around to write on the wall behind him, and then turn back around again to make his escape. Also, unless he found the piece of chalk in Catherine Eddowes' pockets, to have written the message at all, he would have had to leave his house with a piece of chalk already prepared and concealed somewhere within his clothing. This would be an example of forward planning, seemingly absent from the rest of his offences. Also, Catherine, found only moments before, was lying with both hands by her sides and without the signature hand lying across her chest, unlike Annie, Elizabeth, Mary, Alice and Frances. He added, "As this is his signature characteristic of his murder fantasy, it's surprising that he didn't do it. It might suggest that he was disturbed in Mitre Square, ran before he had a chance, and might actually have intended to write his message at the crime scene. Alternatively, of course, he may have just ran past the doorway in the dark, thrown the apron inside, and run off unaware of any graffiti there at all. It was only around 2/3 of an inch high, easily missable, and police weren't convinced that it was recently written." So some interesting points there raised by MP Priestley, especially around the premeditation of the killings, that he suggests if the killer was actually carrying a piece of chalk prepared to write a taunting message. If that were the case, it would be an interesting insight into the psychology of Jack the Ripper, and would tend to contradict the sort of violent, frenzied attack which he actually carried out. It would imply that he could be controlled and logical before turning on his frenzy when he wanted to. The Goulston Street Grafitto also features in my book, The Inevitable Jack the Ripper, which is available on Amazon. A link to the book is included in the description below. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and most importantly subscribe. Thank you for watching.